I'm Brycen Smith, and this is the 1967 F-250 that I call Penny. So to tell you guys a story about this truck, in September of 2018, was walking around Doug's Four-Wheelers, which is just outside of Pella, Iowa, and walked all around their place. He's got thousands of classic cars out there, and yeah, it's mostly a junkyard, scrapyard, but he holds on to anything of value, and had walked around most of the place and stumbled upon Penny sitting on the one side I hadn't been to yet, up in the front, and immediately was drawn to the patina of the truck. And I'm not even really a patina guy, but what I really like about patina is when it has original lettering still on the truck. So with this truck, it's got ties right here to Iowa. On the bed it says the Iowa Realty Company Inc. The door, it says the Farm and Ranch Department, Des Moines. So it's got some pretty cool local history. The Iowa Realty Company is actually still in business, which is pretty neat. Have not been able to find any history or anything like that as far as ties to them. You know, maybe some old pictures or things like that, unfortunately, but it is pretty neat that it's got some local history to the Iowa area. And so because of that and just the way the truck looked, I've always loved the Harbor blue color. To me, it's always been my favorite Ford color, I would say, especially on the bump side trucks. And so when I saw it, it was heavily oxidized. Looking over the truck, it had been obviously sitting for quite a while, but it was a complete truck. Everything was there. Nothing was missing. It had all the panels, all the, anything that you'd want on the truck to be able to start for a rebuild was there, including the motor, including the drivetrain, all that stuff. So this truck was originally two-wheel drive. So as a two-wheel drive truck, my whole goal was, man, I really like this truck. I'm just going to turn it into a nice little cruiser driver. Wasn't going to do anything special to it at all. But when I was kind of looking around at bump sides and other Ford trucks, I really was looking for something four-wheel drive, just because I've always loved the old highboys, and to me, there's no other truck like an old highboy. So I decided, because I loved the two-wheel drive Penny so much, that I really wanted to buy it as the two-wheel drive, and then I got the idea of maybe just converting it myself into a four-wheel drive. So I bought a highboy chassis that was pretty much junk, but it had all the good parts that I needed to be able to convert the two-wheel drive chassis. So Penny is actually sitting on the original two-wheel drive frame rails, so all the VIN numbers and everything all match, everything's the same, and that was one of my main goals, was to keep the truck as kind of stock and original as possible. I didn't want to do a frame swap or anything like that. So I cut the cross members out of the highboy chassis from the transfer case forward, and removed the cross members out of the two-wheel drive frame, and then welded those four-wheel drive parts into the two-wheel drive frame, using all factory dimensions, getting everything all measured out. So I consulted with Joseph Thompson at Bumpside Treasures, just to verify that I was getting everything in the right locations, and make sure that it was all going to be as it was supposed to be. So yeah, so that's kind of the story of how I acquired Penny in a nutshell. So really, my whole initial goal, like I said, with Penny was to just make a nice little driver. But as a professional hot rod builder, so I've been building cars. I spent 13 years in California building hot rods for a living, and I currently work for Trick Tools in Pella, Iowa, as a kind of a fabrication specialist here. So I can't help myself, but go the extra mile to make sure that whatever I'm working on is going to have my name on it. It's going to be done in a way that I'm proud of, especially if I go to pass the truck on to somebody else, and something that they can be proud of and be confident in the work that was done. So there's a few things I did that started to add more to the project. Like I said, once I got the four-wheel drive swap done, I had the chassis all sandblasted and I painted it. I used all Pour 15 on the chassis with their top coat paint, so it's a super durable paint on the chassis, so it'll be really good as a driver for many years to come. Same thing on all the other drivetrain components. I kept the engine, so the 352 out of the 67 as it was. I kept that engine. I kept the NP 435 4-speed in it. And then I added in the NP 205 transfer case out of the 73 Highboy chassis that I had. And then it's got the Dana 44 HD front end on it. And then it has the two-wheel drive Dana 60 that was in penny, from the start. So nothing different on that, but it's just a standard Dana 60. So as far as drivetrain components go, everything has been completely rebuilt. Axles have, the front axle has all new gears in it with a Yukon Duragrip locker in it. Brand new, all the new joints, seals, all that stuff. Drum brakes have been completely rebuilt with new drums. So, all the lower components of the drivetrain have been 100% gone through, rebuilt, new seals, all that other stuff. Brand new drive shafts made for the truck. So because it's a Highboy, I guess it's got the divorce transfer case. So it's got 3 drive shafts. So all 3 drive shafts are brand new. Those are made by Dynamic Driveline out of, I believe they're in Altoona, Iowa. So I had those made. Freshen up the transmission. It was in such good shape, and those NP 435s are pretty much bulletproof. So opened it up, inspected all the parts. They all looked fantastic, and so I decided to just reseal it, put it back together, and got it all painted and freshened up. The transfer case came from Midwest Transmissions, I believe, out of Wisconsin. So they rebuilt that, got it all put together. So the engine did a fresh rebuild on, or a regasket on, I should say. Opened the motor up, tore the heads off of it, all that stuff. Inspected all the parts on the bottom end. Everything looked really good. Really was in great shape. So I decided, well, as good a shape as it's in, I'm not going to go forward with rebuilding the entire lower end. So put all new head gaskets in it, and then obviously intake gaskets, valve cover gaskets, oil pan. I actually had to swap oil pans from the 73 Highboy chassis that I'd bought in order to make, because the two-wheel drive oil pans don't fit in a four-wheel drive because of it's a front sump on a two-wheel drive, and on the four-wheel drive it's a rear sump. So swapped oil pans and the oil pickup, all that stuff on the motor. It's been just freshened up, regasketed. I did do valve seats in it, valve seals, all that stuff on the top end. It does have new exhaust manifolds on it with Rimflex gaskets. And just painted it, freshened it up, just to make it. My whole goal at the engine bay was to make it look like 1967. Like when it rolled out of the dealership. So put everything back. It still had the factory air cleaner with it, so freshened that up. Was able to get some reproduction stickers for it to really complete that 1967 look. From there I decided I really wanted some creature comforts in the truck, so went ahead and bought Vintage Air for it. So it's running a Vintage Air conditioning unit in it. It was one of their SureFit systems, so bolted right into the truck. It does have an aluminum radiator in it with an electric fan, and that's all controlled by Dakota Digital Bluetooth fan controller, as well as the AC system that controls the fan as well. So got all that on there. It does have electric power steering, which is, if you've never run electric power steering before, it is fantastic. I mean, I'm at the point right now after driving this thing with 33-inch tires on it, that I'm probably never going to run hydraulic power steering ever again. So it's real easy to steer. I mean, I can reach in right now just to show you, power the truck on, and it's not even running. And with one hand, I can steer the truck easily with 33-inch tires. So yeah, granted I'm on some smooth concrete here, but even outside on asphalt, that sort of thing, you could do the same thing. So you know, when you're driving, the electric power steering makes it real easy to be able to cruise around, and you're not fighting that steering wheel like you would be, you know, even if it was manual steering or, you know, that sort of thing. So high boys in a bump side never came with power steering, so they were always manual, so you had to fight them around. So it's a pretty cool addition to this truck, is to have that you know, power steering in there. So my whole goal with this truck, especially with the body, was to not disturb the patina. So you know, if you know anything about bump side Fords, you'll know that camper specials were not available in a four-wheel drive. So, or that package was not available on four-wheel drive trucks. So when you see this, if you know these trucks, you might say to yourself, you know, that's a body swap. They put a two-wheel drive body on a four-wheel drive chassis, that sort of thing. But obviously, like I said earlier, I just converted the two-wheel drive frame over to four-wheel drive. So, but I just didn't want to disturb anything about the patina on this truck, because that's to me what makes this truck what it is. And yeah, so every body panel on this truck is the original exterior body panel. It did not change a thing. When I bought it, it had the aluminum grille with the white bumper, and there's a cool little feature I'll show off a little bit that you know, I was curious why there was a white bumper on this truck with the aluminum grille and the stainless mirrors and all that stuff. But I was kind of wondering if it was factory, but it turns out that right behind the license plate in the front, there's the number T134 that was written from the factory on the bumper. And there's also inside the door jamb on the door here, there's also a T134 written on this door, which tells me that, you know, in the factory on the assembly line, they were marking parts for, apparently this was identified as T134. So, you know, those parts actually did belong together from the factory. So according to the Marty report that I got on the truck, this truck actually had factory installed reflectors on it, which from what I understand was not common in 1967. So that's a pretty cool thing. It appears that not many trucks came out of the factory with the factory installed reflectors. So yeah, so the patina on the truck, the lettering, Farm and Ranch Department, Des Moines. Really, my main thing with the lettering was to make it to where you could still read it. So obviously, you probably can't read it from the camera angle, but at some point somebody had tried to remove the lettering, and that's why it's kind of rusted and rubbed up a little bit around where the lettering is, because somebody removed, I assume maybe at some point it was white, you know, something to make it stand out on there. So somebody removed that, I'm assuming once Iowa Realty sold the truck. And so yeah, somebody removed the lettering and it ate through the paint, which caused the patina. So what I had done was I had a guy named Frosty Harrington, pinstriper out of Knoxville, Iowa. He's done a lot of sprint cars and things like that over the years. So I had him come in and just do an outline in pinstripe around the letters so that you could actually stand back and read the lettering better, because that's really, like I said before, that's really one of the coolest things about this patina, is that it has original lettering on it. So had him do this kind of a rusty color pinstripe on it to not take away from the patina, but so you could still read the lettering. So did that. You know, I just tried to freshen up all the things that really needed to be freshened up. It does have a brand new windshield in it. The original one had a crack. You know, replacing little things on the outside, like the I went through on got on online and found all the proper Acorn nuts and hardware to be able to replace all the steel hardware that they put on these West Coast mirrors from the factory. So those are all completely redone. And yeah, I mean, it's got I did put cab mounts in the truck just to freshen those up. They weren't even that bad, but they did have a little bit of rust in them, and me being a metal fabricator, I can't take it. I can't take the rust, so replaced the rust there. Did replace some little sections in the floor pan on the bottom just to get that all dialed in and get it back to the condition where it'll last hopefully another 54 years plus. So after that, repainted the firewall, used a Raptor liner. Company Raptor makes the kind of a bed liner spray, but it's the stuff I use you can actually you can tint. So with this stuff, I tinted it into the Harbor blue color. So when you look under the cab of the truck, it's got that bed liner type texture to it, but it's all in Harbor blue to match the truck. So just something I decided I wanted to do, and I think it added a cool look to the bottom. All the seams on the bottom of the truck that are normally exposed from the factory, and that's where water and dirt and all that stuff gets in to allow things to then start rusting. I seam sealed all that on here before I did the bed liner spray. So when you look on the bottom, there's no exposed exterior seams on the bottom of the truck. So hopefully this the bottom of the cab will last longer than it did the first time before I started the rebuild process on the truck. So this truck is, bump side trucks to me have always been a passion for me. I don't know what it is about them. I can't even fully explain it. I just really love these trucks. I enjoy them. I think they're, in my opinion, the best looking classic truck. Really, like I said, with this truck, it kind of became more of a passion project more than anything, to keep the patina, to keep it looking like it does, but to make it a four-wheel drive and to add some creature comfort. So the truck does have Dakota digital gauges in it, which really makes it nice for when you're driving. You have specific readouts for the different parts of the truck. You've got exact RPM, you've got exact oil pressure, you've got exact temperature of the motor. This speedometer readouts a lot better in that way. So that's really nice. So it does have that. The truck does have automatic headlights in it. So there's a light sensor that I put in the top of the dash, and that is that's a Dakota digital system, the automatic headlights. So basically, in a kind of a dark setting like this, right now the headlight switch is off. So traditionally, if I was to turn the key on, the headlights wouldn't come on unless I pulled the switch out. But right now, turn the key on, and because of the light sensors picking up some of the dark lighting, it automatically kicks the light on. And then what it does also is that it keeps the lights on for a little bit, kind of like new cars do. When you shut the truck off, you get out, you walk away, your headlights are going to be on for another 20 seconds or so after the fact. So turn those off. That's ignition's off right now, lights stay on, and you'll see them go off here. So that's kind of a cool feature. The cab clearance lights, that is exactly what the truck had when I bought it. And they were in decent shape. So these are old school Duray lights, and actually was able to score these as replacements. Like I said, it's exactly what it had on it, but some of the chrome on the bezels was peeling off. And so I just happened to be looking around to see if I could find some, and I found a complete NOS set of these ones that have never been installed on a vehicle before. So fresh chrome, really good looking lenses, glass lenses like I said, and was able to just basically put those right in place. So somebody put those on after the fact when it was new, and I think it just kind of a cool look. A lot of trucks have 5 on there, 3 in the middle, 2 on the sides. This one, they just put 3 on, but I think it adds to the uniqueness of Penny. So kept the stainless trim on the windshield, replaced the antenna on it because that was broken off, which is really common. That is an NOS Ford antenna. It's got all the, like I said, all the factory emblems on it, F-250 on the hood, factory door handles. These custom cab emblems on the back of the cab here, these are NOS Ford custom cab emblems. They are not reproductions. They're not Dennis Carpenter reproductions, anything like that. Those are, like I said, NOS Ford parts that I got in little Ford boxes. So pretty cool, just to try to keep some of the originality of the truck and make sure that I really wanted to do things in a way where it kept the truck as kind of Ford as possible. I didn't want this to be a massive pile of reproduction parts. And granted, yeah, I've got some aftermarket stuff in it, but to me those are upgrades, not just reproductions. So yeah, the interior, got the fabric for the seat from SMS Auto Fabrics, so it's a factory reproduction seat. It's exactly what it would have had in it, you know, when it was new, and that's what it had in it when I got it. It just wasn't in that great a shape, so I had to go with a new seat. It's got the original door handles, interior door handles, and the window crank knobs, the armrests, those all original door panels. It does have a new dash pad, and that's from Dashes Direct. Fits wonderfully. It looks great in there. It's black as opposed to maybe the dark blue that would have been in it, because that one was destroyed. And I just went with the black just to give it a little bit of contrast on the interior. So steering column's been completely rebuilt. I rebuilt that with all new parts and painted it black. Brand new steering wheel on it with the brand new horn button. Like I said, the vintage air AC controls. You can see those in there. It does have a 1967 radio still in it, but I do have JL Audio Bluetooth unit that I tucked into the ashtray. So not a smoker and don't really have a use for an ashtray, so decided to tuck that in there to not disturb the look of the dash, but be able to keep the you know, maybe have that modern sound with Bluetooth and all that stuff nowadays. So you can hook to that. It does have speakers that I've mounted in it that I tried to keep as invisible as possible. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, so you got that new headliner, original chrome trim for around the headliner. It's got the original sun visors in it, original rearview mirror. It does have a new gas tank. That's a brand new gas tank from Dennis Carpenter. The sending unit for the fuels from Dakota Digital to match their gauge system. New carpet in it. This truck had a vinyl floor mat, which if you could find an original style floor mat that actually had the colored checkered patterns on it and all that these did from the factory, I would have gone that route, but you can't get that, and I'm not really that happy with the rest of the availability for vinyl mats. So went with carpet in it. You know, reproduction boots around the shifters. All the pedals are original, just freshened up, painted, and but they still have the gas pedal, still the original rubber gas pedal. It does have new pedal pads on the brake and clutch, because those always wear out, obviously, with the amount of use they get. All the knobs, things like that on the dash are all original as well. Yeah, so there's a lot of really cool features about this truck. So hopefully this answers any questions you may have had on the truck, and I'm really hoping you can see the amount of passion, time, and effort that was placed into this truck to make it what it is, and I appreciate you watching.